happy.
Actually, I never left you guys. The only problem I had is, can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj, we hear you.
So yes, I'm sorry, we got electricity shut off, and then we had this morning for some reason, and then we had because in our zone there's no internet, and then we had little important call with city officials about situation. So I kind of had to be on that call and got a little late for the meeting, but I highly appreciate all of you coming to the next day of Gaura Purnima to online meeting. And today what we have is, we have normally Holi. It's the festival that happens and everybody throw the color, and it's about time of Gaura Purnima, and it's all connected with Vrindavan. So one time, Govinda Maharaj was in Russia, and you know, Russia is very, I would say, non-friendly to other religious country, because you know, religion is very political in Russia. So they don't like other religious group to do something. So we've done Festival of India to a little bit disclose our spiritual program, but at the same time, we want to show that Krishna consciousness is not just, you know, a cult or some, you know, little sect, small sect of people. It's a huge culture with food, art, music, everything, which actually designate through spirituality. So we brought Srila Govinda Maharaj to Big Park Festival, and the authorities said, well, you're bringing a bunch of monks and you're not permit for religious activities, you're permit for culture. We said, well, we brought them as guests. We don't expect them to do any religious activities, but you know, they want to greet the festival and open the festival. And you know, authorities were not very happy, but nothing they could tell to us, specifically when we had Indian ambassador coming with Srila Govinda Maharaj. So when Srila Govinda Maharaj's time was to come on the stage and there were 10,000 people, I said to Gurudev, because we cannot do open preaching here, we need to do a little trick. And Govinda Maharaj said, so what do you think I should talk about? I said, well, we call the festival a Festival of Indian Culture. So we want you to represent Indian culture in a spiritual way. And Govinda Maharaj gave beautiful, wonderful talk where he explained that actually you cannot separate Krishna from Indian culture. Everything in Indian culture, all this beautiful music, all this beautiful songs, all this beautiful food, all this wonderful dress, and you know, so many wonderful things that people are joyfully experience actually came from spiritual world. And spiritual world is world of Krishna, is world of Vaikuntha, is world of Goloka. So when people heard this kind of spiritual representation, that everything coming from spiritual world, the music, the song, the, you know, the sensual exchange, the art, this was completely mind-blowing presentation, because, you know, people had very vague abstract about what spiritual world is. You know, they're only thinking, hey, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, stay away from it. Yeah, that's true. But what about, you know, spiritual music, spiritual love, spiritual food, spiritual environment, everything spiritual. So that has been fully kept in Indian culture. So sometimes when we draw different, you know, presentation of spiritual world, people say, well, you know, it sounds a little bit too Indian. It is, on one way, of course, spiritual reality has infinite imagination and different forms. But when we talk about ancient Vedic culture, we can define very unique way to dress, very unique way to move, very unique way to cook. So when you start studying all these things, you'll see they have all meaning. And what the meaning is, rasa. Rasa means taste or particular flow. So our teachings is about rasa. Our teaching is about particular flow, the taste of God of love, the taste of spirituality, the taste of experience that we're trying to provide. And that has never ever been described in any religion. Therefore, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's a very famous book by Rupa Goswami, which explained Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And I explain you why Bhakti Rasa, because according to Shiva Purana and many other shastras, rasa, rakta, all this terminology is been using in different Indian Vedic culture, such as cuisine. Like, for instance, the soup you call ras, which means liquid, tasty stuff. And also the energy that going through the heart of a human being, also called ras, like the energy that flows in your body. And also the mercury, the mystical alchemical substances which give your vitality and power, also called ras. But Srila Rupa Goswami said bhakti ras, the divine taste, the divine power, the divine energy, the energy of Krishna, the energy of soul. So I will not explain to you the physical process or alchemical process. All that's all in Vedas, and our teachers perfectly knew that. But what they concentrate to us is the exchange between soul, the pure spiritual soul, and Krishna and God himself in his most beautiful form as Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, and loving exchange. So when that divine personality, supreme personality of God comes in his very original form, he's taking form of beautiful child. Like, you never hear birth of Narayana or birth of Shiva. You can know something about birth of Ganesh, but you never hear that Shiva was born or Parvati was born. Actually, sometimes, yes, you hear, well, she was born and this and that. That's true, Parvati was born, but you never compare this with the sweet pastimes of child Krishna, where he's playing with his Yashoda mom, where he's sucking the breast, where he's playing with monkeys. And so the emphasis on Krishna is always human-like pastimes, beginning from his birth and child pastimes. And these specific pastimes are bringing inner satisfaction on people's heart. So equally, when Mahaprabhu taken birth, this beautiful, wonderful, innocent child, very, very wonderful spiritual family, not very rich people, not very influential, not the kings, just the great Pandits, the great Brahmanas, Jagannath Mishra and Marshachi, and all wonderful personalities disguising in a human form, like Advaita Acharya and Brahma Shiva, all the gods taking form of common humans and coming to visit him, because they don't want to disturb people with their divinity. What they like to see this wonderful mystic child who actually is God, but he's playing his child pastimes, he's sucking his mother milk, and he's fully dependent, and they want to hold him on his own lap. Can you imagine, like, you're holding a God? It's so amazing when you become a father, to hold your own baby first time, when ever you being a father or will be father. This is a breathtaking moment where they give you your own child. It's so small and you don't even know how to hold it. But from immediate moment that you're holding your child, you have a love connection, your heart starts flourishing. So just imagine everybody would hold that little baby Mahaprabhu, golden boy, and they would just connect with his heart. And everybody would be so amazed and so charmed by his beauty, his wonderful smile and eyes, and the way he moves and the way he does things. And he would start crying, and the ladies would start chanting Hare Krishna, and he would be very satisfied and very happy, jelly, looking at all the ladies around chanting Krishna Nam and giving his approval. Yes, you should chant Krishna Nam. You won't make me please? Because child is like God. So when child born in the family, he's dominating, he's taking over everybody, the father, the grandmother, the parents, they're servant of child. And that's why Krishna has taken this supreme position as supreme personality of God, as a child of Nandanandan or Yashodanandan or Shachinandan, etc. So as a Shachinandan, he was very sweet, very beautiful, and everybody came to see him. It was today, that day after Gaura Purnima, they would come to see him, and they would bow down to him. And the parents could not understand why all these interesting supreme personalities, they look very interesting. Yeah, we don't know. They're like very superhumans, but at the same time, they're not like gods. They're just in a particular, you can feel energy of great person, even if it dress very simple or appear very simple, but you feel the vibe, you feel the vibration. So all these unique personalities are coming with amazing gifts, and they bow down, they give to respect to the child. What is that child? So of course, in Nilambar Chakravarti, the grandfather of Jagannath Mishra, was a great astrologer, was a great pandit. So they start looking at the chart of a child, because that's what happens. When child born, in the Indian tradition, they look at the chart, what time he was born, what his lagus, what his planets, what is his future actually. So when Mahaprabhu born, they made a horoscope, and conclusion was amazing. All planets, all celestial planets appear in the most auspicious time. Although the creation itself came to serve this child. And it was like very quick conclusion. It was very quick conclusion. This child will going to save humanity. And there was one prediction. Then in a family of Brahman, the king will born, and that king will conquer the world. But it's Kali Yuga. It's a little Bengali village, Navadvip, and not village, town, Navadvip. How this child will save the world? Will he be a great scholar? Will he be a great teacher? Will he be a great politician? Will he be a great king? When child born, it's very difficult to understand his future, glories and position or negativity. Like, look at the child Hitler, or child Stalin, or child Napoleon. You will never figure out that this person will try to conquer the world. But it's within horoscope. But interestingly, Mahaprabhu Gauranga horoscope showing that he will not just conquer the world, because just conquering the world could be a lot of terror. He will liberate the world and save the world. That's where he's got the child named Vishwambar. Vishwambar, one who support and maintain all the creation. His second name came Nimai, because he born under Neem tree. And Neem is very unique has very unique medicinal properties. It's actually very bitter, but that bitter taste of Neem has little sweet outcome, which regenerate your body, especially liver. So therefore, the Neem itself is a great powder for cooking to make a bitter food, and that bitter food actually stimulates your liver and your organs to be able to experience and process sugars. In other words, something which is bitter is turned for something that is sweet. So it is also described in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic scriptures that in the beginning, when someone is in mood of ignorance, spiritual things sound very bitter to him, because praying, fasting, or meditating, or study scriptures, that's something not pleasant. I really want to play and enjoy. But when you really understand joy of chanting of Krishna Kirtan, chanting holy name, taking Lord's prasadam, offering Lord, and enjoying an association of devotees, you feel that great settled energy, which will be experienced only when in two conditions: when your sense is purified, or when you're in presence of a great devotee of Krishna. Because sometimes common people can feel this in presence of great devotee of Krishna. And that's what really, really, truly happens. So, considering that Neem is holy, special tree, sometimes they would make beads out of Neem in Navadvip. In Vrindavani, they don't use so much Neem beads because not so many trees there, and they prefer Tulsi. But Govinda Maharaj used to say, well, Tulsi is quite expensive. Guru Maharaj could not afford. So a lot of devotees, they would get inexpensive Neem beads from Neem, because they would be much cheaper and much affordable. And you could buy them in Navadvip, in bulk. And so some devotees say, well, Gurudev, I just discovered my Tulsi is not from, my bead's not from Tulsi, they're from Neem. Is that good or bad? And Gurudev would say, Mahaprabhu born under Neem. First kirtan happened under Neem. And this Neem came from Navadvip, the Bengal, the land of Mahaprabhu. So, and it's coming from Holy Guru with a blessing of chanting. So then we can understand that anything comes from Navadvip has special, unique sweetness and qualities. Even Mahaprabhu, remember, Mahaprabhu born, he's still Krishna covered by Radharani. So as you can say, how baby Krishna is beautiful, and how baby Nimai must be beautiful, who's born under Neem, who Krishna and Radharani combined together. He's inconceivably charming, inconceivably sweet. And even the gods, such as Brahma, Shiva, and, Brahma been witnessing, birth of Krishna. Brahma saw Krishna and Indra as well, as you understand, as you know the story in Vrindavan Leela. For gods, 5,000 years is nothing. Actually, 1 year of life of gods is like 360 days. So I'm sorry, 1 day of celestial time on higher planets is equal to 1 year of humans. So think of this. So 5,000 years for us, it's like 5,000 days for demigods. And demigods live in numerous time, billions of years. So they're remember in their memory how Krishna beautifully look. And when they come to see baby Nimai, they're just overwhelmed. They just can't stand it, how charming and sweet this Supreme Lord. And they would start worship him. And the name Gaura Hari, golden boy. His body is golden and he's Hari. Hari means full of energy. So he's not just Krishna, Shaktiman. He's Krishna, Shaktiman, and Shakti, both in one divine body. That is amazing. That is incredible. And they would bring different gifts. And Jagannath Mishra would be so happy to return these gifts, to distribute those gifts to other common people. Because, in a normal spiritual culture, there's two types of people. One type of people, they're willing to give, and they get joy of giving, donations, the gifts, etc. And that's very appropriate. But sometimes in other part of spiritual community, there are the people who like to, okay, I'll visit spiritual event. I'm a sadhu, I'm a poor man, I have to get something. That's also understandable because that's the part of spiritual culture and Vedas to redistribute wealth. Because when wealth is accumulated improperly, it's bringing collapse to society. Therefore, in Vedic time, when king would have too much wealth, he knew part of that wealth he has to distribute to the public, and that wealth will come back to economy. But if you just give that wealth to very, unqualified people, or if you're not distributing proper time, there will be no good result. So therefore, wealth distribution, donations, and giving the gifts to people supposed to be happening in proper auspicious time under auspicious occasion. So it was very, very auspicious time to when Mahaprabhu born, and it was very auspicious to give the wealth. So many of the Navadvip Vasis came with wealth. Of course, the gods and like Advaita Acharya and others, they came with a lot of sacred wealth and sacred jewelry and some unique things they've been giving to Mahaprabhu. And some of them that been specifically designated for child are remain in a home, especially the ornaments, which later would attract thieves. But most of the wealth, including his own household stuff, has been distributed by Jagannath Mishra out of mad love of his son. He would just receive wealth and give away wealth, receive wealth and give away. So it is says, the true devotee of Lord, he's like a cloud, like a cloud. The cloud is collecting water and raining water, collecting water and raining water. Cloud is not keeping anything for himself. Because what was purity of Jagannath Mishra's heart, that Supreme Lord took birth in his family as his son. You can understand he was extremely saintly and extremely pious person. never hold to position or fame or money. And he could be a very wealthy person for sure. He was great, skillful scientist and pundit of that time. But his conclusion, the Brahminical life has to be simple. We're not saying poor because we don't understand poverty. It's kind of like in modern society, poverty is curse, because every aspect of modern society is collect with your wealth. Like if you don't have money, you cannot travel. If you don't have money, you don't have a nice house. If you don't have money, you don't have nice food. You don't go to good school. So we live in very perverted society where everything pushing us towards money, and where the money must be ego, and where the ego must be dishonor of others. To look others upon. Okay, if you don't have the money that I have, you are a low class person. But in Vedic society, the wealthiest people who are the people who value by spiritual knowledge, not the people that have jewels and things. So the people who would control their mind, people who had poetic skills, people who were scientists, the doctors, and they were the most renowned people, because it was considered that once you acquire wealth or knowledge or any position, you have done this for the service of others. So therefore, in Bhagavad, you find so many great sages such as Maharaj Rantideva and so many other great sages who perform selfless service to others and openly share their spiritual knowledge without any consideration. So nowadays you open YouTube or Instagram, and there'll be a bunch of gurus that will teach you for this, teach you for that, teach you how to do business, teach you yoga, teach you spirituality. Just subscribe, just pay, become their student, they'll help you. But really, this is a business. And in a true spiritual culture, what it says, if you start doing religion, spirituality as a business, that will not be true spirituality. You will going to lose your inner energy, and what you will be able to do is just a shell, not the substance. Like peanuts, you can sell a shell of the peanuts, but the fruit you're never going to get. Aditya. So in this regard, the pure devotee is always acting selflessly. He does not acting in a matter of our consciousness to monetize his spiritual knowledge. And according to Bhavishya Purana, it says, one who's receiving spiritual knowledge obligate to give Guru Dakshina. It means the student obligates to remunerate your spiritual teacher by donations or service, etc. But it says it is willing transaction according one's ability. And when Krishna and Balarama entered to the school of Sandipani Muni, who was a great sage, and that school was near Dwarka, and Krishna and Balarama were already boys. It was not Gurukul in Vrindavan, it was an area of Dwarka. Sandipani Muni was a great pandit. It was mainly devotee of Shiva, of course, Vishnu as well. He was blessed by Krishna himself coming. Sandipani Muni were a Brahmana and teaching many Brahmana boys. But when Brahmana is very proud, they think, hey, I'm a Brahmana, you're a Kshatriya. You might be son of king, but you're my servant, because the Brahmanical culture was that Brahmins are supremes and they're even appreciated by Kshatriyas. So when all these boys, they saw Krishna and Balaram, they understood that their figure, they kind of a Kshatriya boys. And they said, hey, some Kshatriya boys coming to our school. But they were carrying on their heads pallets of wood. And Sandipani Muni saw auspicious figures of Krishna and Balaram bringing firewood. He said, yes, they're Kshatriya boys coming to our school, but look how they're coming. They're coming with a pure attitude of service, and they bring in the woods with them. So it says in scripture, the guru can get you the mantra but the fire sacrifice, the wood you must collect. So Krishna showing perfect example that I'm coming to Guru with a mood of service, and later Krishna and Sudama were sent to the forest to collect more wood, and they lost themselves and they stayed, night. There are many panthers and tigers and lions in that area, and they were like staying in a cold mountain night, and they were like, trying to heat up together by embracing each other. And it was incredible experience that Brahman Sudama had, which later we can talk the story. So that attitude of coming with a mood of service is very important. And even Krishna always showing, I'm the serving, I'm willing to give. I'm not so much interested to take. All the people say, well, why everybody worship God? Why the God needs our worship? Actually, God does not need any worship. God is very happy with his beloved friends. And, if you think he really much need your worship, then it's a big mistake. What you need is to worship God. What you need is to believe in God. And God will love you to do that, because this will give you a very great position in spiritual and conscious evolution. Therefore, Krishna say, when the sages are, reciting the Vedic mantras and my names, I'm very happy to hear that, because sages are getting advanced. And by having advanced sages in society becoming advanced. Because it's all coming from things, from philosophy, from ideas, from visionaries, etc. But when gopis cursing me, I'm even more happy, because that's bring me real joy. Because, sages, I kind of keep them at a distance, to tell you honestly, okay, if you're a sage, do your wonderful spiritual stuff and I'll check on you, I'll give you the progress. But if you're my devotee, like gopis of Vrindavan, even if you curse me, even if you swear on me, I feel so much joy, because you do this out of love. So the comparison is this in Chaitanya Charitamrita described. The gopis, they say, actually, we're not yogis, because it's very popular yoga right now, and everybody wants to be a yogi and, hold the breath and do the meditation. But gopis of Vrindavan, they say very clearly, we're not yogis, I'm sorry. Yogis, they try to concentrate on absolute, sometimes not even on Krishna. Sometimes yogis meditating on Paramatma or Brahman. But one thing with us, we cannot forget Krishna. So we cannot forget Krishna, and that is our incredible fortune, that Krishna is always in our mind. When we're going to cook, we think about Krishna. When we sleep, we think about Krishna. When we're cooking for our children, when we're doing household duties, we cannot forget Krishna. And sometimes it's causing us so much pain, because Krishna is so, seductive. Krishna is, he's promising us love, and then he disappears. So that is our, heart break and pain, that we're thinking with love about Krishna and we cannot forget Krishna. So that is the highest stage of consciousness. It's called Krishna consciousness. Now, somebody would say, will we ever experience this? Because, I've been chanting Hare Krishna mantra for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. And I do this out of obligations. I like praying. Praying is good. It gives me peace of mind. It makes me calm. When I pray at a certain point, all anxiety comes out of me. So I like praying. Praying is good. Chanting Hare Krishna mantra is good. But can I ever experience this? Will I be ever fortunate to experience this? So here's the answer. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyati Yati Kutopi Labhyate Atra Laila Mekamuli Mekalam Janma Koti Sukritain Labhyate. Unless you have deep desire, burning desire in your heart, just like Gopi, your prayer will not be on level of giving you love of God. Then the second question will come, where do I get my desire? How do I get that stage of mind? How I achieve that? Well, it says, you have to take association of devotees, and final stage, you have to surrender. And Krishna will test you. And you have to go through so many anxiety. And it might take billions of lives. You may say, okay, so that means maybe I should not practice Krishna consciousness. Maybe I can become a Christian because they're offering the doors of heaven right after death. Or maybe I do an Om Namo Shivaya because that's more easy to obtain. No, that is not a way of proper thinking. The proper spiritual thinking is Gopis showing to us. And what they're showing to us, without you, moment looks like eternity, which means really eternity is the moment. Like we all lived for billions of lives. Is that very significant right now? No. Who cares that I've been born last, billions of life, human, man, male, female, animal, blah, 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 this planet, that planet. Rupe Brahmani Brahmite Kon, Bhagavan Jiv, Guru Krishna Prashari Bhai Bhakti Latapesh. So if I got connection with Guru and Krishna and Bhakti Lata, the seed of Bhakti, that means Rupe Brahmani Brahmite Kon, Bhagavan Jiv, that means I already been on search for truth for billions and millions of lives. Is that important right now? No, it's not so important right now. So that what it really tells that this spiritual process of Krishna consciousness, when it will become ripe and mature through association of devotees and your inner heart will hankering towards Krishna, that may happen in millions of lives. We don't know. But that will produce this incredible effect will draw like magnet your heart towards Krishna, and you will enter Krishna's abode. Now, Mahaprabhu actually promised that he's going to liberate all the universe, and he's done it. And as Mahaprabhu were coming through Jharkhand, the forest, he would dance and chant, and somebody like Haridas Thakur would follow him and see what happens. And Haridas Thakur, he's a Brahma Haridas. He's a very sophisticated. He's a Avesh of creator of universe. He's so, okay, I can see that when Mahaprabhu coming to the forest, this, everybody gets liberated. So he told this to Mahaprabhu. He said, I see that animals are dancing. I see that trees are experiencing Krishna Prem. And you're liberating all the souls, including bugs, insects, and, all these different beings, etc. And Mahaprabhu were like smiling, hey, Brahma or Haridas, are you doing well? You're really understanding what I'm doing. But, under pretend, he asked a very good question to Haridas. He said, Haridas, it appeared to be you a little bit exaggerating, what's going on right now. It appeared to be that you're trying to, take your desirable imaginary spiritual thing and say that this is truth. If I'm liberating everybody, what happened to their bodies? And Haridas said very clearly, he said, there are innumerous souls in a body and this universe. So they're just entering that body. And new, just like, if you would keep something outdoor, there are some insects or flies immediately will take over that. This is the nature of material world. If one body dies, then immediately the parasites, this body will be not just dissolved, it will be taken over by other living beings. So then Mahaprabhu was very satisfied with this answer, meaning that there are innumerous souls, jiva souls, in my body. Like my body has so many parasites, bacteria. It's all jivas, it's all jiva souls. I'm the only supreme jiva that controlling that body more or less. But, I'm sharing that body with so many other souls. In fact, in the man's sperm, how many billions of souls are living, in a man. And so he can be potentially father of like millions of children. It's just like a tree giving millions of seeds, and maybe just very few seeds are taking real roots and become a tree. So which tells that in evolution, there'll be innumerous living beings. It's very difficult to calculate what we're talking about with our very limited mundane mind. But if we start thinking about this paradigm, this understanding, that we can see that, yes, this universe full of living beings, and what is the purpose of all these living beings? Because when you become a human, it appeared to be that you have very clear enjoyment propensity, enjoyment purpose, but everybody living for the enjoyment purpose. And the true purpose of enjoyment is Krishna consciousness, because in these connections, you are trying to reconnect with the source of joy, with the source of love, with the source of beauty. And you're doing loving devotional service, just like people so much happy to serving their wife, their baby, their country, their home. You're doing this on the highest possible level, not an egocentric, mental, physical body, rather in spiritual, conscious body. But sometimes when Mahaprabhu born, not everybody understood exactly who is that supreme person. It was kind of a hidden truth, but everybody understood this is something very auspicious. This boy is so amazing. And the Nilambar Chakravarti said, well, his horoscope tells that he's in an incredible position. He's actually a supreme person. But out of love of child, nobody would take this very deeply. And although everybody felt he's God himself, but the love has that unique property that they thought, no, he's my grandson, he's my son. Okay, maybe he's got some unique, maybe he'll later liberate the whole world. But at this point, I was supposed to serve him. So when Nimai became a very naughty boy, many of the Brahmins and neighbors and people complain about, hey, your son is naughty boy. Like one Brahmin said, I was chanting my Gayatri and offer my, prayers to Supreme Lord, and he grabbed my feet underwater and he pulled me in water. And I always drowned myself. I couldn't complete my Gayatri. And somebody would say, well, he had stolen all my flowers. And, I'm making an offerings to the gods and goddesses on the god. And he ran to me and he screamed, I'm Shiva, I'm Vishnu, I'm Ganesh, I'm Mahesh. And he stole all my flowers, throw him on himself and run away. And so they would come and complain. And the girls, they would be doing some, Chandi Puja, the goddess Puja, because the young girls, they've been told, okay, if you offer this wonderful flowers to the goddess Chandi, you'll get some wonderful husband. And sometimes he would claim on the altar of Chandi and he'd say, I'm the controller of Chandi. I'm the Shiva, I'm the Vishnu, I'm everything. Give your sweet bananas to me and you're going to get incredible husbands as beautiful and young. But if you resist to give these offerings to me, you're going to have, old fat husbands and you become a co-wife and your life will become horrible. And the girls, they would like, hey, this young Brahmin, he's carrying us. So out of the fear, they would give the offerings, they would give banana to Mahaprabhu, and he would happily grab the banana and share with his friends and make joke and make fun of them. And they would come and complain to their parents, and they would say, hey, we're trying to, follow the rituals, and we're trying to, satisfy the gods. And this little boy comes to us and start, playing with our brains and confusing us. But they were so happy to give it away. They also thought, if we want to have a husband, we want to have a boy like him. We want to have somebody very beautiful like him. So that was the life of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip, and it was very sweet. It was very wonderful. And sometimes he would, go to Ganga, perform his naughty stuff, swim, play with kids. And he knew people would complain to his father. So he would do a very trick. He would run away from other road, put himself dust and some, block marks of writing ink. And he would come back home like he'd not been in Ganga. And his father would rod madly on him and say, why are you disturbing everybody on Ganga? And he said, look, I wasn't even on Ganga. Look at my body. It's full of dust. Look at my hands. They're full of ink. I was staying in the school doing my homework. Really? You didn't go to Ganga? No, of course not. But then why all these people complaining about you? Because they're just like they don't like me, I don't know why they complain. You think me like swimming in a Ganga? Look at me, I haven't even visited there today. And he would like put doubt in the mind of Jagannath Mishra, and Jagannath Mishra would like, I'm telling you, Nimai, you got to be a good boy. You know, if I catch you lying to me, you know, I'm going to punish you. I'm not going to punish you today, but I will punish you if this has happened to be truth. And you say, well, Father, how you can, you know, how you can not believe me? You know, what I'm telling you, everything I'm telling is truth. So, and he's right. Even when Supreme Lord lying to his own father, this is truth. Because he's everybody's heart, he's everywhere, and he's so kind and so sweet and so wonderful. So think of this, just hearing about all these pastimes, just knowing about all these pastimes, purify our ill heart. Therefore, Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita are two most amazing books. Just sometimes I'm listening to them in audio format when I, let's say, travel. You know, I'm detached from, you know, my daily activities, and I just like listen to them or read them, especially when I fly on a plane. You know, you have like 5-6 hours and you can listen to the whole book, and you are so much amazed. So the only condition we have, our mind is running crazy. We engage in so many material things and affairs and you know, management and you know, work. The real currency of this time is our time. So I highly appreciate your time today. And I'm terribly sorry that I could not, you know, be on this Zoom on appropriate time, but I don't want to hold you very long. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer the questions. And otherwise I have to switch my lecture into Russian after, you know, 20-30 minutes and maybe 10 minutes or so. And I highly appreciate everybody is listening to me. I see Russian devotees as well. And so any questions or comments, I'll be happy to answer.
We had question from one devotee. Why in Gaura Purnima we stay more sensitivity?
What is that? Can you ask in Russian? I'm not exactly sure.
Вопрос такой, почему в Gaura Purnima мы становимся чувствительными?
Oh yeah, okay, good. Remember, the Purnima means moon. And like I've said, this is the most important time when, you know, still, even this time, not specific birth of Mahaprabhu, even every Purnima, especially Gaura Purnima, like golden moon, has a very special influence. And mind is stimulated by moon because it's named Chandra. So Chandra is very important. Moon is very important planet, as Srila Prabhupada used to say. People have no idea what the moon is. So moon nourishing taste of vegetables, nourishing minerals and waters. So, you know, during that time, the sensitivity naturally appear, and enjoying spirit comes in people's life. They want to enjoy. So anything you do during Purnima, during the moon, will increase the power. That's why many people like to dance and take drugs at that time, because that gives them more joy, more material joy than any other time. But if you switch to different chakra, you know, switch to heart, to the soul, then you also receive a particular joy and connection and connectivity with spirituality. So especially Gaura Purnima, it is a very mystical, very divine time, and it's hardly beneficial for spiritual activities and Krishna consciousness. Therefore, this is the most auspicious time of the year, like Gaura Purnima and Janmashtami. Remember, everything is designed in this universe based on astronomy and the wheel of karma and the 5 elements. And, you know, sometimes, you know, things are moving along, sometimes things are not moving, sometimes things stuck. You know, it's also connect with markets, it's also connect with economy, it's also connect with wars, it's also connect with, you know, our health, etc. But when it's transcend on spiritual level, such as Gaura Purnima, the benefits are innumerous spiritual benefits you'll receive if you at this very time perform activities such as kirtan, worship, hearing about Mahaprabhu, engaging in parikrama, you'll get incredible speed up results. Next question.
Махарадж, вопрос, почему в Сарасват-Мадхе летоисчисление от рождения Гауранги?
Ну, это не только в Сарасват. Okay, so it's very simple. You calculate reality and what you believe in. So let's say you believe in Jesus, and everybody count the time since Jesus. At one point, it's very good because we have very common numbers. But from another point, if this is the truth, so it's just a cultural truth. Like Chinese, they have their own culture. The Japanese, they have their own culture, but they had to accept in a globalism and a global world set, a particular days, like 2022, which technically, has some biblical connections, but it does not really connect with reality, the highest reality. Therefore, considering that Mahaprabhu born 500 years ago, and we know for the next 10,000 years is his golden age, and understanding that he's born in the world, changing the world, changing Kali Yuga, changing era. So we'd like to, calculate time from that perspective. And of course, so we can say it was New Year yesterday because Gauranga born, so that means New Year. And normally after parikrama and after this celebration of Mahaprabhu's birth, devotees, because they meet together at that time, they will sit down and make plans. And they would make plans what kind of service we're going to do next year, what kind of goals we want to achieve next year. What would be our ideas, what would be our ideals, what was the problems and that we need to solve and resolve in our collective. So we always need to calculate Desha Kalapatra in material world. That's part of the how material world's working. And also spiritual world, the spiritual world rules as well. So it's not a bad thing to track your time and understand your goals and objectives and move towards, towards reality you're in. Therefore, for devotees, it's more important, to remember Mahaprabhu and everything connect with him than just to say, well, we, of course, in our common life, we follow what's been established, but in our devotional community, we have total different values. Remember when Srila Prabhupada came to Western world with Krishna Consciousness, he was asked, what do you think about Western civilization? And he said, I hope by accepting Mahaprabhu and Krishna, there will be one civilization, because civilization is not just about iPhone, Facebook, vaccines and rules, regulations, video camera control and taxes. Civilization means it has to have a goal. So from point of very modern civilization, what is our true goal? Like if you go on the street and ask anybody, child, a human, a woman, a man, a transgender, you'll say, what is the goal of this civilization? They will give you very vague, abstract answers. Nobody will give you any clear answers. What is the goal of civilization? Well, everybody will say, well, a lot of people will say, well, it appeared to be to make money as the goal. Yeah, so you'll make money and this is the goal. But what is the true goal of civilization? Money is instrument. Then somebody will say, well, happiness. That means you have to have a DJ party at every corner. What is that? So Dharmena Hinu Pashumi Samano, the goal of civilization is to realize dharma, to realize your purpose in the world, to realize God, to realize connection with God. But that is superficial goal. The deeper goal of civilization, to become God-conscious civilization. So we're considered as some devotees are God-conscious civilized men. It does not mean that we have to look at everybody else as barbarians, but I think we have a very clear rights to share our perception what reality is and what the world is with others. And, it doesn't mean that we have to become religious fanatics. What it really means that we have higher goals, higher values, higher objections, and that's how we're supposed to move in our community, in our society, with our group and team. And that's what we're supposed to stand for. So I think we did pretty good. We did about 45 minutes talk. I don't want to hold you long. For those who want to switch to my Russian Telegram talk, I'll be happy. I wish in the future somebody can daily translate, my Telegram talks to English, because I preach every day, a couple of times a day, and that's what I'm trying to do to get going myself. And it is very beneficial to hear Harikatha, to hear from the devotees. And my goal is to try to maintain myself spiritually. And of course, because if I'm not spiritually maintain myself, then how can I maintain others? And of course, helping others. But it happened to be when you're helping others, then you are well. So in Krishna consciousness, the speaker, the listener, they both get benefits. So I thank you so much for letting me speak in English. This is very great privilege for me. I'm also very happy that we have some substantial listeners that coming to this program. As you know, English is not my first language. I'm not a good English speaker, but I love this language. It has a lot of cryptography. It has a lot of clarity of expression of thoughts. And, all our gurus been speaking in English. So we learn a lot of stuff. I've learned technically English, not in school. I've been studying German. I've learned Krishna language, Krishna consciousness. And a lot of it I've learned from Swami Maharaj and other great devotees. So, my Dandavat Pranam to all of you. Let's thank Narayani, Rasananda, and all the organizers to keep those English-speaking meetings. As you understand, sometimes the circumstances are not allowing me to get on time. I normally try to be on time. But, sometimes like today, I had a call with Siti and it was kind of urgent. So I have to, give my time to it. It was super important. But by your blessings, I think everything will be successful. And we're hoping that we are marching towards Krishna consciousness. Although we do have difficulties and problems in our lives, it does not discharge that now, we're devotees, we don't have to deal with reality around us. No, we do have to deal with reality around us. It is very important to be responsible people, but at the same time, to grow spiritual responsibility is another important part of our life. And as we're growing our spiritual responsibility, we are actually changing ourselves and the world changing around us. This is very important. So change yourself and the world around you will change. Not try to change the world. Many people try, but speak the truth, practice Krishna consciousness, find people similar mind with similar mindset, spiritual mindset, and you'll see you live in a completely different world. In a world of beauty, devotee, in the world of Krishna consciousness. So my Dandavat Pranam once again, and I will start Telegram talk within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I'm signing out. My Dandavats.